you for everyone who's joined our webinar today. I see that there's a good number of laboratories represented, so we thank you for taking the time out to learn a bit more about the benefits of document control and InspectionProof with MediaLab. My name is Leah Capolino, and I am delighted to be your host today. I worked as a med tech for a number of years and then as a lab administrator in the Philadelphia area. And our hospital actually utilized both of these MediaLab systems along with a few others. And we're really able to achieve success with our document management and inspection preparation processes. So I'm happy to kind of tell you a little bit about that experience and show you some of my favorite features in the system. So we are going to give you a quick overview and some introductory information, and then we'll be providing a live demo of both systems. We will have panelists on the line from MediaLab, so you are able to actually ask your questions in real time. There's a nice little Q&A box in the WebEx panel if you want to take a look at that now. So please don't be shy. Ask your questions as we're working through the presentation today and get that nice interactive experience with us. So I'd like to start just by talking a little bit about document control. This is our system that manages your entire document lifecycle. You're able to actually upload your existing SOPs and policies, all of the other document types that you might have, your forms and job aids, attachments, etc., and get them into our system in electronic. From that point, you can actually revise your documents. You can set up automated approval processes for your lab admins and supervisors to approve any changes before we collect employee sign-offs. And that happens automatically with us, which just makes life a lot easier on the lab admins who are administering the system. All admins in document control will receive specific reminders about the to-do list items that are pending for them in document control. And again, it's really nice to have one page where you can view to see all of the pending tasks that need your attention that particular day. The systems actually work beautifully together. You will be able to link these beautiful documents that you've created right into your CAP checklist items using InspectionProof. So the systems do fully integrate, and you'll really get a great experience using them together. The InspectionProof system allows you to upload your CAP checklist onto our site. We'll make nice checklist item pages where you'll provide your evidence of compliance documentation. You can use this for both on-site and self-inspections. You can also use the InspectionProof module for additional checklists if you have an interest, let's say, in using it for the AABB or your FDA checklist or even your Department of Health. We do have a custom checklist option as well. So within those checklist pages, you'll be able to link those SOPs and policies right from document control. They'll always link to the most current version for you. So as you're updating documents, you won't have to worry about the documents updating in InspectionProof. That process happens automatically on our side, and that definitely saves a lot of time. You can delegate the checklist that you uploaded to your respective supervisors in those departments. You can actually have administrators who can approve checklist items once they've been filled out with their evidence of compliance and completed, just to have another set of eyes on that checklist item. And that's a really nice feature. And finally, you can review your progress in real time as you're prepping for inspection. We have some really great pie charts and some data that displays right on your homepage for the inspection event that will show you, the status of each of your checklist items and where it falls at that given time. And InspectionProof really helps you not only with the pre-inspection phase, but we do have inspection phase where inspectors will be provided with access to the system, and they'll be able to view all of your responses right online. They can actually mark deficiencies at that point. You can respond to those deficiencies as well in our post-inspection phase. And MediaLab will even help to print out the information that goes back to the CAP after your inspection. So the difference with MediaLab and what I like to emphasize with all of the clients that I talk to is that we are very, we take a personalized approach to each one of our laboratories. We understand the complexities of each and that everybody is unique in their needs. So we'll do system implementation that is, scheduled around your needs. The training and support team from MediaLab is just wonderful. They're available via phone. We have a ticket system. We have an email system where you can get to the support team. They really are wonderful. Our response time is super quick. And any time that I ever had issues as a client, getting an answer from MediaLab right away was never a problem. We have very straightforward annual pricing, and that's different than some of the other vendors that you might come across. We do include implementation and training, maintenance for the modules. Any updates that we roll out will automatically be included in that price. And the pricing is very affordable for any lab size. So we'll be talking about that a bit later. And speaking of pricing, I did include a MediaLab price list within the WebEx. So hopefully you'll see that and are able to download that file as well as the product flyers in case you wanted a review of the systems later. And finally, what you get really is the peace of mind in knowing that you're in control. You're meeting those compliance standards. Since we only work with laboratories, we really have pre-built a lot of those compliance requirements right into the software to make life easy for you. As far as next steps, I just wanted to outline what you can do after after you enjoyed what you see today. The first step is maybe to obtain a quote from us. You can also ask for a free trial. We do free trials all the time. You'll get 30 days to play around in the software, add some users, test out the features, and make sure that it's a great fit for you. You could do that by contacting us online, by visiting our webpage. You can also do that by emailing us at sales@medialab.com, which you can see listed at the bottom of the page there. And you can also give us a call. Our 877 number is listed on the bottom of the slide. As far as purchasing goes, we make it pretty easy. We accept purchase orders, checks, and credit cards based on the quote that you've obtained from us. We actually activate your systems the same day that payment is received. So you won't have a delay there. You'll be able to get up and running right away. And then training and implementation, again, will happen on your schedule. And I think that we're pretty much the best in the industry as far as document management and inspection prep, and especially the training that's involved in getting the labs up and running. I just wanted to mention quickly before we get into the demo portion that MediaLab does offer a number of other software modules. We have Compass that handles competency assessments electronically or online. So we do that both for laboratory staff, on your lab instruments, and we also do it for point of care. We have the compliance and CE system, and that system is our learning management module where you'll have 101 courses available for your lab staff. It covers safety and compliance and all of the lab discipline specific CE that we offer. We have the same package for histology. We have a personnel documentation system that helps you to collect your employee file docs and kind of keep those organized in one place. And we also have white cell case simulators, which are great for training and competency. Same thing with red cell case simulators for morphology. And we have other offerings as well. So make sure that you check us out at MediaLab.com afterwards and browse our offerings. So now I'm going to get into the actual software and show you around a bit. We'll highlight some of the key features in both systems. And again, just a reminder, please do feel free to ask your questions in real time now. There's a Q&A box in your WebEx panel. So at any point throughout the presentation, if a question pops up, please do go ahead and type it in that box and we'll get you an answer right away. So I'm going to log into my account now. When you're accessing MediaLab modules, you'll head to MediaLab.com and you'll log in with your own unique username and password. Everybody at your site, your admins and your end users will all have their own usernames and passwords, and those can be defined by you, just to make things a little bit easier. We're going to check out document control first. I think that we'll browse document control for about a half an hour before we head over into InspectionProof. And we'll talk about how the systems sync nicely. We are looking at the admin view of document control right now. So most of you on the call, I'm sure, are administrators in the laboratory, and this would be the view that you would see. I wanted to mention that your employees will have a little bit of a simplified version of document control. So they won't have quite as many options and features, but it just makes things simple for them when they're viewing and accessing the SOPs and policies that they'll need to see. And we are on our homepage right now. This is one of my favorite areas of document control because it collects all of the tasks that you need to pay attention to. And they're always waiting for you on this to-do list. Before I get down to those task items, I wanted to show you how easy it is to set up your PIN and signature. And this feature is going to help you meet the 21 CFR Part 11 regulation for e-sign-off. So your approvers in the lab, not only your medical director, but any other folks who are approving documents that have been changed or maybe performing periodic reviews either every year, every 2 years, we would want you to get your electronic signature set up with us. And to do that, you would enter your MediaLab password, which is your first identifier, and then you would create a PIN number with us. And that helps with your second identifier that's required. At that point, you have a couple of choices here. You can either upload a picture of your signature, or you can type in your name and choose from one of our handwriting fonts. So kind of up to you and your personal preference. I'm going to go ahead and show you how that works. I'll just type in my name and I can scroll through the fonts until I find one that I think represents my signature nicely. And I would save PIN and signature. So at this point, my signature as an admin or an approver would be placed on the cover sheets that MediaLab makes for your documents. We do that automatically for every document that you give us, and it really looks very well organized. All of the signatures are easily displayed on those cover sheets at inspection time if you need to show printed copies. I'm going to head back to my to-do list here and kind of show you some of the tasks that you might see as an admin on your list. Everybody's will look slightly different. We have different roles in the system. We call them permissions. So everybody has a slightly different role and are responsible maybe for different sets of documents. So you can expect that your to-do lists are going to vary based on your particular role in document control. But you can see here that I actually have a document waiting for my approval. It's a professional competency document. It's easy for me to click view and approve. And at that point, I'll be able to approve or reject that document with my comments. I can also see the approval process that was set up for this document. I can see who signed off before me and who's going to sign off after me. The system's going to trigger me for manual copies that are ready to print. And this is important for those of you who like to have paper copies of your manuals at the bench, maybe like a master binder, we used to call them. If you do that and you want to continue to have a paper copy, we call those controlled copies. They'll get an ID number with us. And MediaLab is going to remind you anytime that you have document updates that require reprinting. And that really helps to keep your paper copies in line with your online version. And obviously that's an important inspection point when they're evaluating your document management, is that the two of those match. Your paper matches your online. So next on my to-do list here, I have some tasks that are more employee driven. So I wanted to show you what it looks like for your employees. So these might be your bench techs, your phlebotomists, your lab assistants, etc. They'll have documents that require their sign off as a performing employee. And you can see here I have a couple of them collected. It's easy for them to click view and sign off, open that document up, and actually, review that particular procedure and affirm that they've reviewed this document. Now, if you have the desire to actually collect competency data on these documents, you can actually build questions in a quiz format to kind of competency assess them on the information in that SOP or policy. And that's been a really fun feature that we've added in the past few years. So they wouldn't actually see this button until they completed the quiz and passed the quiz with 100%. So it's a great way to kind of ensure that they actually took the time to read those documents and not just clicking the button. I'm going to head back to my to-do list here and show you a few other things before we move on to looking at the documents and manuals here. I have a couple more task types that I wanted to show you. One of them that I found really helpful is documents that have stalled. So if you've sent a document out for approval or you started editing a document and it's been longer than a week and an action hasn't taken place, you're going to start to see a notification on your list. And you can see here I have a film array document that I pushed through for approval 23 days ago, and my approval process stalled. So I can actually see who that's sitting with. In this case, it's my section director of molecular. I could skip him if I needed to get on with the approval process. Is out on an extended vacation. The system will never allow you to skip your lab director for compliance reasons. So the software is smart enough to know that that's an important step that must be completed. But this is wonderful in that it prevents things from slipping through the cracks. It prevents processes from starting and never coming to completion. You'll have, full awareness after a week if something is still pending and should have been completed by now. If you are a periodic reviewer of particular sets of documents in the lab, you'll be able to have your permissions set as a periodic reviewer, and we will send you notifications starting 90 days before your documents are due for periodic review. You'll be able to set a system-wide either 1 year or 2 year review cycle on your documents, so we can kind of meet both of those needs depending on which you prefer. And it's nice to have the triggers right here on your to-do list. You can view and periodic review your document when you're ready. You'll see I have my document, and I have a nice little text box. I can add notes if I want to, and ultimately decide if my version's okay or if my version has to be replaced, which would then put it into edit mode. Okay, just a few more things. Document flagging is a feature that I use pretty often as a customer, and I wanted to make sure that I touted the benefits here. If you are in the system browsing a document and you happen to notice a change that needs to be made, like most of you, I'm sure you understand running to meetings and having a million tasks on your plate that day. You don't always have time to edit that document in the moment, and the flagging feature really saves the day. You can make a nice little virtual note for yourself, and it adds a task on your to-do list here. So I have a resistivity monitoring of reagent water document. I can view the note that I made about that, what change I wanted to make, and upload a revision when I actually have time to do that. So that's kind of a quick summary of how the to-do list works. Again, everybody's will look a little bit different depending on what kind of admin role you have. But all of your tasks are going to sit here for you in a nice organized page. And this will also be emailed to you every 3 days. So, you'll have kind of an email alert also that bounces to your facility email showing you the tasks on your list. Just a reminder, if you have questions as we're moving through the presentation, please do feel free to ask them in the Q&A box in the WebEx panel. Okay, I'm going to show you some of the manuals that I have set up here. And this particular account is based on kind of a hospital lab model. So you can see I have manuals representing each of the disciplines in the lab. So your manuals obviously will look slightly different than mine. You can think of these as folders and subfolders. MediaLab calls them manuals and submanuals. And that's how we're going to organize your documents. And if you have a shared drive that you're using now or some kind of document organization system, we'll help you to get that outline, that skeleton of your manuals and submanuals built during your implementation so that you can kind of keep going if you like the organization process that you have. I'm going to go ahead and open my first manual here. This one is for central processing and phlebotomy. You can see I have 3 submanuals. I have my Cerner manual, which is the LIS that we use. I have my specimen collection manual, and then I have my packing and shipping. I'm going to go ahead and open my first one here and show you that I have documents now sitting and ready for my viewing within the submanual. So this is one way that you and employees alike can get to your documents simply by clicking the names of the manuals and submanuals and viewing the documents that reside inside. There's also a shortcut here. If you look at the top left of your screen, there's a little search box. And you can search keywords at any time, and it will pull document matches based on the title and also scanning the text. So if an employee needs to look up how to clean up a particular spill and they type in spill, you know, they're going to see document matches on the title and on the body of the text. And I can quickly just show you what that looks like. So these are my documents matching on title, my name, and then these are all the documents that match on text. You can see I probably want to check out my chemical hygiene plan. So along with these two methods, we also have a favorites list. We call it bookmarks, and that allows you and your employees to create kind of a favorites list to get to the documents that you access frequently. So getting to documents and document control is very easy. I'm going to go ahead and open one just to show you what that looks like. On the left-hand side here, we have, I call this the multitasking panel. This is where I can see other documents, manuals, my bookmarks that I was just talking to you about, and my to-do list at the same time that I'm looking at document. I'm going to go ahead and close that so we get a better view here. So this is a sample document. This was uploaded in Word format. We take your documents in Word format, PDF, Excel spreadsheets, Microsoft Visio, PowerPoints. So whatever document types that you have built already for your SOPs, policies, forms, etc., they can go into document control as is. And you can see all of my source formatting remains the same. So this is a big benefit, in my opinion, compared to some of the other vendors out there. If you have pictures, you can see I have some icons here. Here's an image in my SOP. This is my Cerner training, so I have icons here. Sometimes when they get changed into the HTML format, you lose some of your formatting. And for those of you who have spent a good amount of time making sure that your SOPs look beautiful, you don't want that to happen. And so MediaLab is going to display your documents exactly like they do on your own PCs within our document control system. So all of your charts, your tables, your images will remain exactly the way that they are in your document and your view. Okay, so this is the online view of the SOP that I'm looking at here. This is my LAS system training document. I'm going to browse above the document and show you some of the features that you can do with each of the documents in the system that you have administrative rights for. And one of them is downloading for editing. And this is important if you are in charge of revising documents. There's actually two ways that we handle editing. One of them is to do your edits in Microsoft Word. So if your document came into the system, let's say in Microsoft Word, and most of them do, you would get a copy of that document back. You could turn on track changes in Word and make your revisions. And MediaLab will actually support those red lines and will show them with a nice little button to click them on and off once they're back in the system with us. And then the last step, obviously, is uploading that document, that revised document, back to MediaLab. At that point, you'll be able to mark whether your change was major or minor. That is up to you. The system is not going to tell you. You'll have to dictate that. And you'll give us a little bit of information about what happened, you know, what's the purpose of the particular change that you made. The other way that we edit is online. So if you create documents online with MediaLab, we actually do have our own creation tool. We actually have templates too that you can build for new documents, which is really fun. If you create documents online with us, you can actually edit those online. And the next button here is printing uncontrolled copies. I do want to quickly show you what that looks like. I think it's important for you to view the cover sheets that we make. Uncontrolled copies can be turned off if you prefer to not have your employees print at the bench. It's kind of nice, in my opinion, to leave that on just in case they're performing a test and not next to the computer. I'm going to print one just to show you what that generated copy looks like. Okay, so here is my SOP, that Cerner system training. in the PDF format. This is the cover sheet that I was mentioning earlier. It's one of my favorite parts of the system, and it's a great benefit since we're updating the metadata within this cover sheet automatically. So you don't have to worry about updating those history tables that you might be using. I know some folks used to have them in the tops of their documents or at the bottom. We don't need those anymore. MediaLab is going to be taking care of that for you in real time. So here you can see my document number, which is CP-CERN1, my document title, my version number, the last time I had an approval or periodic review, when my next is due, the effective date of this particular SOP, the author, what comments were made for the last version change. So here we can say we upgraded our Cerner icons, and that was the reason why we had our last revision. If I scroll down, I'll actually see my approval and review signatures. And if you've set them up in the system using that pin and signature, you're going to see those beautiful signatures display here. So you can see I've collected section directors and my lab director sign-offs over the years. You can also see your version history table. That'll give you the effective dates for each version. Here you'll see the watermark. This is what it looks like when you print an uncontrolled copy. Since these are meant to be temporary, we do differentiate between uncontrolled and controlled. So you will not have a watermark on your actual controlled copies. In addition to the cover sheet, we also make some really nice headers and footers for you. And you can see that they're pretty skinny. We're not going to overlay the headers on your documents. You can see this is my document header, but this is my MediaLab header. It's going to tell me that the doc is approved and current. It gives me my document number, my title, my version. And then I can scroll down and you'll see MediaLab's footer. And again, we keep it nice and skinny at the 0.5 margin, so we're not going to overlay the text on your documents. But here it's got my name, date, and time that I printed this uncontrolled copy, as well as the page number. You can customize your headers and footers with us, which is a nice, fun feature. If you wanted to add your logo or add something fancy, you can certainly do that. You can also add additional placeholders if you'd like for some of that data. But we are going to update this for you in real time as changes happen in the system and your version changes. We'll make sure that your headers and your cover sheet does too. Okay, I'm going to head back into the system and mention some of the available actions and other features that we can do with all of the documents that we have here. This is that flagging button that I was telling you about earlier. It's really great if you notice a problem and don't have time to fix it at that moment. The bookmarking feature is here. That kind of adds to your bookmarks list, aka favorites list. The available actions menu is wonderful. You can see we have a huge number of features that you can act upon for any document that you have administrative rights for. Some of these features you'll probably use pretty often. Others maybe not so much, but it's wonderful to have all of these options available due to the complexities of situations in the laboratory and things popping up. MediaLab kind of has you covered with all of the features listed here. And so we'll go through some of these now. An example is the ability to edit the document titles or numbers or descriptions. You can change the permissions for the document. And this is something that I use pretty frequently. If you have folks that are cross-training or they're learning new methodology in the lab, it's great to alter their permissions here and just add performing employee permissions for a given document or set of documents when they're competent on that test. So you can change that and the system will now know that employee X needs to be responsible for this document too, anytime that there's changes in the system. We can put a single document into multiple manuals simultaneously, and that's really great for incident report forms or IWASH check station forms or kind of cross-disciplinary documents that you want available in everybody's manual. We can link documents together, and this is obviously very popular. So you can link your forms to your SOPs or your job aids or your manufacturer's inserts, even linking your validations or your IQCP plans. All of those can be linked to the documents and can be toggled back and forth between them once they have those links up. So employees and admins can kind of toggle back and forth between linked documents. This is where we can print our controlled copies. We can retire documents when needed. Retired documents are archived with us, and we'll hold on to those indefinitely unless you ask us to purge them. So the rule is to hold on to them 2 years, but obviously we kind of meet and exceed that requirement. You can republish documents if you need to. This is where you'll build quizzes. So I talked about that a few minutes ago. If you wanted to build a quiz on an SOP for your staff or even on a change that you've made, it's really great to be able to have that functionality, and that feature lives here in your actions menu. I'll show you a history report. This is great. It's an audit log of actions that have happened over the years to this particular document. It's great if CAP or your accrediting body needs more information and wants to see proof of the different tasks that took place, lab director approvals after revisions, etc. You'll have a date and time stamp, the version, what action took place, and then who performed that action, whether it was one of your lab staff members or the system. Okay, so that's your history. We can view our previous versions. So I'm on version 3 right now, but I can still look at version 2. So I can view it, I can download it, I can make changes about my comments. Here's version 1. I can do the same for version 1. So you'll have access to these as admins. Your employees will not. Okay, they can only see approved and current documents. Administrators are the only ones who will have the rights to see archived documents, retired documents. Okay, we can check out approval processes and workflows. We can check out our approval and periodic review signatures. We can see the employees that have signed off on this given document. We can also pull really nice reports for larger groups of employee sign-offs, maybe like an entire manual's worth of sign-offs or an entire group of employees, like a department. So there's a couple different ways to pull reports for employee sign-offs. We can also see how many people have viewed this document and how much time they've spent looking at it, in case that information is really helpful for you. So this is just a quick overview of some of those features that you have in the available actions menu. And I can pretty much guarantee that it'll cover most of what you need to do in the system in a really easy and fast way. So again, if you have questions about the available actions that we've gone over, please don't hesitate to ask in the Q&A section in the WebEx. Okay, so for time purposes, I wanted to show you a few more of my favorite areas, and one of those is the dashboard. And the dashboard is kind of your oversight area. You can get to it with a little pie chart here. It really gives you a great overview of how well your system is functioning in document control at any given time. It has some nice statistics for you to check out. The first is our little table, our little chart here showing the periodic reviews that are due over the next year. And I can actually hover over those months and see that I have 78 that are coming up in January. This is great. I've noticed some of the clients that I work with have their periodic reviews slammed at one time of year and kind of slow in the other times. And this is a good way for you to visualize that and maybe spread out your reviews a little better. Get some of those reviews done early so you get on a better cycle. I can see the documents that I flagged and how many I've cleared. So I'm in the red right now. I haven't cleared those 4 document flags that I have. I can see my document version status, and I'm looking really great. I have over 2,000 documents approved. That's 99.3%. I have 12 being edited right now. I have 4 that are in review, and I have none that are sitting with my lab director, which is always a great thing. I can get my performing employee sign-off statistics. And you can see here, I'm in great shape. 98.2% of sign-offs are done. I'm only waiting on 1.8%. And you can see I've collected over 8,000 sign-offs in the system from my staff. Over here, I can see my administrators and the to-do lists and tasks that they have sitting on their to-do lists. So it does kind of keep you honest. There's transparency here. You can see one another's to-do lists as admins. Maybe find out who should be asking for PTO and who shouldn't. So it's great. You can click and see the to-do list of your other admins in the system as well. If you're wondering about a particular document or the status of something, you can check out that. Okay, we'll also show you for your controlled copies, how many are up to date and how many need reprinting. So up to date is in green, needing reprinting is in red. We'll give you some helpful time statistics. How long does it take your site on average to get a new document into the system and start the approval process? And for us, it takes about 4 minutes and 40 seconds. If you have a minor revision approval process, we would calculate statistics for you here. Most folks don't actually have minor revision approval processes, but we all have major revision approval processes. And you can see here that mine takes about 3 hours on average to go through all of the approvers and collect those sign-offs before it goes out to the employees. And for those of you who are doing it manually, 3 hours is a heck of a lot better than the time it takes to chase those folks down, especially if your medical director is not on site every day. So having this electronic really saves so much time and energy. And then finally, you'll see the documents that were visited most frequently in the past month. You could scroll through and check those out. Okay, so that's our dashboard. I just wanted to spend a few minutes talking about some of the report functions before we get into InspectionProof. So let's go ahead and do that. In the reports menu, this is where you're going to pull performing employee sign-off reports, which obviously is something that they're going to ask for during inspection time. So during my last on-site, I was asked for my hematology department sign-offs. So to have the ability to pull a nice report in just a few seconds is a huge benefit. So I'm going to scroll down through my list of employees here, and you can see I'm using this for point of care and the laboratory, but I'm going to choose hematology. I want to see all the documents that these heme folks have signed off on, both incomplete and complete. So I'll click Display Report, and I get a beautiful report to show. I can print this if I need to. I can save it as an Excel file also, and I can sort this by user, or I can sort it by document. You'll see the user's name, the document they've signed off on, the version, why they had to sign off, the assignment date, the effective date, and the date they actually signed. And you can see all of these folks in green. If I have someone in red, that means they haven't signed off yet. And you can pull incomplete sign-off reports whenever you want. I used to call them the naughty list, and bring them to my supervisor's meetings. So it looks like I don't, oh, there we go. So if you do have someone who hasn't signed off, it's pretty obvious here on your report. And again, you can pull just incomplete sign-off reports as well if that's helpful for you. Okay, let's scroll back up here and get back to my reports tab. I can pull a document index. I can do that for all documents in the document control system, or I can do it for a particular manual or sub-manual. But this is great when you're asked to show proof that your medical director has signed off on a given date, or that documents have had their periodic review. This is a beautiful report that has all of that metadata available in a table format that you can print out. Okay, we can do annual document sign-offs if we'd like. This is something that our hospital utilized for safety. So there's certain safety documents that we wanted staff signature on every year, whether or not that document has changed. And this is a great way to do that. You can assign those annual sign-offs. In addition, we also have a special employee sign-off feature, and this is one that I used a couple of times that I found beneficial, especially if you have an employee who might have had an incident in the lab or had a non-conforming event, and you need to remediate that staff member and provide documentation and get another sign-off on a policy or procedure. You could do that with the special employee sign-off feature here. And then finally, we have your backups. And I think that it's important to mention that MediaLab does have local backups for your system, both at document control and InspectionProof. So if your internet goes down, you'll have a nice zip file that contains all of your documents and data that you would need in case of an internet outage. So you'll select the person that's responsible for downloading that, and you'll select a frequency if you want that backup done weekly or if you want it done monthly. So we do have a really nice process, and that will make IT happy too. A lot of folks will put that right back on their shared drive. So that kind of gives you a quick overview of the document control system. It really is super easy to use. It's easy to get your documents in the Add Documents tab. And it's really nice being able to link those those documents that you've spent so much time and effort on directly into your CAP checklist items. So I do just want to quickly show you before InspectionProof, in that available actions menu here, there is a link to find document as a response in InspectionProof. And there's two different ways to link documents into your checklist items. This is one way, so I can go from the document and put it into my CAP checklist item, or I can work in InspectionProof and pull the documents into my checklist items. And that's the way that I tend to use. So that's what I'm going to show you now. You'll notice at the top of the screen here, I've got a couple different icons, and these represent the MediaLab systems that I'm subscribing to right now. So with one login, I don't have to, change access at all to get into additional modules that I've purchased with MediaLab. So I can just click InspectionProof and pop right into that system from document control. So again, having full integration is so nice. Okay, so this is InspectionProof. We're going to be spending the latter part of our presentation today in this system. It's a lot of fun to use. And again, you can use it for both on-site and self-inspections with CAP, and also custom checklists as well if you choose to use it for other inspection events. We are part of CAP's checklist distribution program. We're the only one in the US that has that designation right now, and you can check us out on their website too. So I'm going to go ahead and make an inspection event with you right now. And I'm also going to show you a completed event that I've been prepping just to kind of give you an idea about what the end goal is, what it will look like once you have your checklist complete and you have all of your evidence of compliance ready to roll. Okay, I'm going to click Add a New Inspection Event and just kind of show you how easy it is to start. So the first thing that I need to enter here is my laboratory unit name. And I'm going to call this MediaLab General Hospital. Okay, and this is my lab unit name. My inspection agency, I'm going to choose CAP. And here it's going to ask me for my LAP number, my AUID, and my CLIA license number. So this is really helpful information for us to populate those fields on your post-inspection forms. So you know those nice pink and yellow forms that we usually have to send back to the CAP, MediaLab can make those for you. I'm just going to type in some nonsense numbers here, but you would obviously use yours in this case. Okay, next is your inspection anniversary date. And this is the very last day of the inspection window that you're prepping for. So if mine is November 13th, I'm going to enter November 13th here. Okay, so step one is done. I'm going to create my lab unit. So I'm going to move on to step two, and that's to provide my inspection details. Okay, so we're going to ask, are you prepping for a self-inspection, or are you prepping for an on-site? And you can see if I click on-site, it's going to change my window. You need to make sure we have that 3-month window, and MediaLab will do that for you automatically. And the next part here in this drop-down box, this is one of my favorite benefits of InspectionProof. The beauty of this system is that your previous inspection events and all of the responses that you've collected are stored here and available for importing. So I can take all of those checklists from my last on-site and bring them into my self-inspection that I might be prepping for now. At that point, we can even crosswalk to the newer version of the CAP checklist, but you'll have all of those previous responses, all of those document links, all of that is still available for you and live. And you can just simply kind of update those for year two instead of starting from scratch. So it's a beautiful way to save a heck of a lot of time, especially from year two and forward in the system. For our case, we're going to pretend like we're brand new, so we're not going to import any previous checklists or responses. I'm going to save my event. And the final step is for me to upload my checklist files. And here, you're going to pull your custom CAP checklists. But this time, you're going to save them from cap.org in the Excel format. And you might not have done that before, but it's really easy. There's a little drop-down box for you to select Excel when you're downloading them from your checklist page. And you're going to choose the long version. Okay, so I have some of mine saved already. I'm going to go ahead and get those into the system here and give you an example of what that looks like. So here are the checklists that I'm responsible for. Okay, I can choose which checklist that I want to bring into the system. Maybe I don't want to work on respiratory and team leader here. So I'm going to click some checklists. Okay, so you'll simply save your CAP checklist to your PC. That's step one. And then here, you're going to bring them into MediaLab. Okay, I'm going to click open. And now InspectionProof is going to go through each of those checklists and make nice little pages for each one of my checklist items for me to work on. And you can see that was really fast. So in just a few seconds, I have 1,782 checklist items successfully created. So now I'm ready to go. We're going to view that event that we just made. And this is what it looks like. Okay, this is our pre-inspection phase homepage for this event. I've got a little countdown here. I have 97 days left. You can see my inspection window. I have the legend that will apply to the document, the checklist items that we're actually prepping. So I can see those that are non-applicable, those that haven't been started yet, and obviously all of ours are falling there. Which ones are being edited, which checklist items are in review, and which ones have been approved. And then we have a nice little pie chart that will update in real time as you're progressing through the checklists. And this is great for, at least for motivation-wise, to see your pie chart starting to turn green. It just does something for your psyche, makes you feel like you're getting somewhere, and it's great when you have everything finished. Okay, so you can see these are the checklists that I've uploaded. We'll work in the all common. I'm sure that's everyone's favorite. So we have our column that shows the CAP checklist item numbers. We see kind of the title of that particular checklist item. We can hover over and get a quick description of that checklist item. And then we can actually open the checklist item and check it out. So here for PT procedure, this is a phase 2 requirement. I can show the additional details that CAP provided. Okay, and here they're really just saying that we have to have procedures that cover proficiency testing for all the methods performed in the lab. Okay, so this is a really great opportunity for me to link my QM document or my QA document that describes our PT testing policies right into this checklist item. And you'll have these 5 response types that I'm kind of circling below here for each and every checklist item on the screen. So I can write a text response, and that's usually something that you would tell the inspectors if they were in front of you. You know, little bits of information that would help them to understand how you're meeting this goal. Linking to a policy or procedure in document control, and I'll show you how easy that is. I can click the link. You can see there's all of the manuals that I have from document control. I can actually open them and find documents if I want to. But I'm going to be really lazy and just search for the word proficiency. And it's going to show me all of the documents in document control that talk about proficiency testing. So I can go ahead and pull in the document that I really want to show to the inspectors. Okay, so these are kind of all discipline specific. I'm going to pull in my chemistry. Okay, and I can save that response. I'm going to go back to my checklist item, and now I've got my document link. The beauty here is that this will automatically update as you make revisions in document control. So even later, if I go back to this checklist item after I've made a change in document control, I'll see that change updated here. So this is the view that the inspectors will see. They'll be able to click to the link to actually view that document that you've supplied for them to address this particular checklist item. So obviously, this is one of the biggest benefits of using these systems together is this functionality that I've just shown you. You can also bookmark, so if you wanted it to open on page 17, we can certainly do that here just to make it easier for your inspector. Okay, we can also upload a new file. So these are documents that reside outside of document control. They could be things like corrected patient reports or temperature charts or your PM for your instrument or your centrifuge maintenance. Any of those things that you would want to provide as examples to the CAP or to your inspection team, you'll simply upload those files and they're going to be clickable the same way that we clicked view document here for our document. in document control, they'll be able to click View File and pull open that document that you're providing. And this really prevents you from having to collect paper copies of either worksheets or charts, temp charts, binders and folders that you might be collecting full of examples. Your inspectors don't need that anymore. Everything that they need to see is now going to be here and viewable online for them within that checklist item. You can also display a hyperlink. Sometimes you can use this for things like linking to the CDC's notifiable disease page or your state's regulations on how long you hold on to specimens or paraffin blocks. So that can come in handy. Also, if you're part of a big conglomerate and you have corporate policies that are not in document control, but that are covering some of the requirements in your CAP checklist items, using the hyperlink feature here is really helpful. So you can get right to those online documents on the corporate level, usually that are on your website or accessed through your website. And then finally, we have the ability to mark an item as non-applicable. So those are the ways that we respond and provide evidence of compliance for each checklist item. Okay, these checklists, I'm going to go back to my my homepage for this event. Each of these checklists can be assigned to the different admins who are responsible for them. So we can upload multiple all-common checklists. If I want an all-common for heme and I want a different all-common for chem and a different all-common for micro, we can certainly do that. Or you can have multiple departments responding in the all-common in just a single checklist too. So I can have my AP supervisor, editing my checklist items for the AP checklist, and I can have my pathologist as the approver on those checklist items that have been submitted for review. So again, it's a really great way to delegate some of that work. Everybody has their own role and responsibility in InspectionProof. You can see there's kind of transparency as far as what amount of work has gotten done on that checklist. These obviously will update in real time. So you'll be able to get a glance of how far along your immunology checklist has been worked on, or how many checklist items have been approved versus edited. Okay, so now that I've shown you that, I really want to show you an inspection event that has a good amount of data already built. And I'm going to open up my sample lab for you here. And you can see I have a lot of green in my pie chart here. And I've got a lot of items that have already been approved and ready for you to look at. Now the inspection team, when they come on site, they will have password, login and password set up with InspectionProof. And they will be able to view your checklist and your responses. They will not be able to see your status. Okay, so if you have some that were lingering in edit, you don't have to worry. No one's going to see that. They're only going to see the checklist item, the description, and your information that you've provided for evidence of compliance. Okay, so now I can open my all common. And you can see that I have a lot of my all common items already finished. I can also see little icons that talk about these checklist items. This means that the last time I crosswalked to the new CAP checklist that there were changes. And it will give me a markup of those changes in the system, which is a beautiful thing and worth the money for the cost of InspectionProof, in my opinion. I can also see items that were added, and I can see items that CAP has retired. Okay, so I'm going to show you one that's got a couple different types of answers here. Let's go ahead and take a look at comparability of instruments and methods. So this is a phase 2 requirement. I can see the additional details here. There's quite a bit of text. All right, so obviously you have to do comparability studies twice a year. I think we all know that now. If you have multiple instruments performing the same test, here's where I can see what CAP changed. So since the last time that we had prepared this answer, this is going to show me in green what the CAP has added and in red what they've removed. And in this case, it's not really anything too significant, but sometimes it is, and it's really great to have that view. Okay, I'm going to show you the item responses that I've prepped. So I'm going to show my inspection team my QM document. And in that document, I've asked them to refer to 7.1.6. So I can pull that document up on my screen and scroll down to 7.1.6. I can also bookmark this to have it open on that page. But here in my policy, it talks about how, yes, we do have a system in place and we perform our comparability studies at least twice a year. So that's the policy part that I need to prove. I also have a text response that simply says, comparability studies reflecting performance are done twice per year with appropriate specimen types, and those records can be found within the supervisor's offices of each lab section. So obviously your text response would look a little different than mine, but that's something that I wanted my inspector to know. And then I gave them examples. So here I use the Sysmax. We use that for our CBCs. So here's my April and here's my October, and I can simply click View File. I think these studies were done in EP Evaluator. So I just simply uploaded the report. And it's great to have those available for the inspectors right within that checklist item so that they're not digging through the lab looking for those things later. Okay, and they'll simply be able to navigate through each and every checklist item. When you're actually in inspection mode, there'll be a feature where inspectors can mark a deficiency and they can add notes. And there's an area where you can respond to that deficiency with your own notes. So we're in pre-inspection phase. This does look a little different when you're in inspection phase. And then again, post-inspection phase, you'll be able to go through and review and provide those forms that need to get back to the CAP after inspection time. So there's probably another 30 minutes worth of information that I could show you, but I really do want to emphasize how much easier this is, especially when you're prepping for an inspection event, either yourself or your on-site the following year. Being able to roll these responses over is just so helpful. In my own experience, we saved a good amount of time during inspection too. So our summation was a little earlier. We have a lot of client feedback for bigger health systems that use InspectionProof where, you know, they've shaved days off of their inspection. So they went from a 3-day to a 2-day, or a 2-day inspection to a 1-day. And when you're able to have the team show up and have an organized way of showing them everything that you've prepared, it really just kind of sets the stage to kind of highlight how well your lab has prepped and how organized you are. So we have about 3 minutes left in the presentation time here. I'm going to jump on the Q&A. I'm hoping that if you have questions and you haven't asked yet, that now is a really great time to do that since we have a few minutes left. You can get to our website. It's MediaLab.com. I'll pull that page up for you. Okay. I can get to my document control page here. I can even read some of the reviews that we have from other clients, read more about the system. I can get my quote, get my trial, view a webinar, talk to a specialist. And if any of you, have the desire to talk to me personally, you can feel free to email me at Leah, L-E-A-H, at MediaLab.com. And I'll make sure I type that in the chat box so you'll have it too. And you can also see the InspectionProof page to check out all of the great features in InspectionProof. So I thank you all so much for your time. I know how busy it is in the lab, and we really do appreciate you joining us. I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your week. I'm going to be on the line for a few more minutes along with our panelists to answer questions. So with that being said, thank you so much.